What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of 9,986,000 draft picks. That's how many draft picks that Sam Presti has over the next 7 years. As always, I am your host, Zach Cronin, and today we're going to be talking about the best young team in the NBA and also the best young team that has the brightest future. And that, to me, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. There are no words to describe the level of surprise that NBA fans experienced with Oklahoma City last season. This was a squad that entered into the preseason with the second to lowest over-under at 23.5. They shattered expectations so violently. They went on to finish 40-42 and it nearly qualified for a playoff spot in the Western Conference. They transcended all expectations, largely because of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is indisputably one of the 15 best players in the league. But winning basketball games is a team effort. And to me, the Oklahoma City Thunder have the best young core in the entire league. They, however, aren't the only young team with talent. You have a team like Memphis. You have a team like the Knicks, who is probably second on my list, a team like the Pacers, among others, of course. But what separates the Thunder is that their roster isn't just exceptionally talented, it is remarkably well constructed. It starts with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and this kid is ridiculous. He is unreal. He is whatever superlative you want to throw in there. It personifies him to a T. At just 24 years old, finished fourth in the NBA in scoring at 31.5 points per game, and finished fifth in MVP voting. At this rate, he seems to be a perennial MVP caliber player, and he's still a year or two away from hitting his peak. I don't think that we will see the best version of SGA until he's 27 or 28 years old. I don't even want to say it's a flaw because it's really not a flaw. The one thing that I want to see him improve on is his consistency from the three-point line. This past year was at 34.5%. The year before this one, he was at, I think, 30%. And the year before that one, he was a tick or two under 42%. For his career overall, I think he's about at 35%, which is roughly the league average. I want to see him reach to 36, 37% because you don't have to be a high 30%, a low 40% guy from three to be effective when you are already 2/3 of the way to being a legitimately lethal three-level scorer. SGA's best ability is getting to the cup. He's got great size, great athleticism, a great first step. He is a fantastic finisher around the basket and also has a very polished mid-range jumper as well. And not to mention the rate he gets to the free throw line. This guy shot like 10.5 free throws per game on average last season, and him improving from three by even a percentage point or two will not only make him more lethal, but it will make the Thunder more lethal as well. After Shai, you have Josh Giddey. This kid is one of the most intriguing guys in the NBA to me because he has no moves, no athleticism. His entire bag is dribbling to the left or to the right, and yet he is one of the most versatile young players in the NBA right now. Literally, all this guy does is he dribbles to one side of the court and he gets to the basket. It is remarkable. And in spite of that, in spite of having no athleticism, in spite of not really possessing a lot of dribble moves, he became just the third 20-year-old to average 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. The other two being, of course, Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Giddey's best attribute is undeniably his passing, and it's enhanced by his size. Additionally, he is an outstanding rebounder as well. And one of the underrated aspects in transition offense is having a ball handler who can get the ball and initiate the break and put pressure on the defense. It's one of those skills that makes guys like LeBron, like prime Russell Westbrook. It was that kind of skill. I mean, even if you go back to like Charles Barkley, that was something that made them even better because you have that element of surprise. And even though Josh Giddey is not the athletic freak that some of those guys are, if you're able to beat a man or two down the court, next thing you know, you're playing with numbers. And OKC is a young team. They like to get out and run. It's just another way to put pressure on the defense. Besides Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander, there are a few other guys who gave OKC quality minutes over this past season. I'm talking about Isaiah Joe, Alexei Pokashevsky, Trey Mann is another one, but I don't feel that those guys are part of the core. While Oklahoma City would love to keep them, ultimately they're going to have to make decisions on who to retain. And I feel that guys like Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams are going to be who the organization prioritizes. Lou Dort already signed an extension with the team, but we're gonna leave that in because it remains true. Oklahoma City has already decided that they want to keep Lou Dort on the team. Jalen Williams, not to be confused with Jalen Williams, is another reliable slasher for the Thunder, who, despite being a rookie, already has a surprising amount of polish on defense. The same can be said about Lou Dort, who is a solid defender in his own right and arguably the best defensive player on the Thunder. Fun fact, Dort actually received as many all-defensive votes as Anthony Davis did this past season, so do with that what you will. Additionally, Dort has also taken on the role of being the team's high-volume three-point guy. Admittedly, his percentages aren't that striking. He was at about 33% this year, but the confidence is there. It's a lot easier to work on accuracy than it is confidence because some guys like to shoot, some guys don't. The last guy in this equation is Chet Holmgren, who has yet to suit up for the organization. However, there's a reason they drafted this kid second overall. He's 7 feet tall with a reliable shooting stroke. That kind of skill set is worthy of taking a chance on. Additionally, he's got the potential to be a fantastic rim protector as well. I don't know what his ceiling is. That, of course, remains to be seen. He may never become an all-NBA caliber guy. I'm thinking more along the lines of Kristaps Porzingis, but better defensively. And if Holmgren is giving you 18 to 22 a night and shooting 38 to 39% from three while averaging anywhere from like 1.5 to 2 blocks per game, you pair that with SGA, that is a fearsome twosome that NBA defenses are going to have to plan for, and also that NBA offenses are going to have to plan for as well. Of course, we cannot close out this segment with talking about the premier meme that is floating around the Thunder, and that is their absurd, obscene, inappropriate amount of draft picks. A few months ago, they made a trade, I believe, for Ty Washington. Patty Mills was involved in it as well, if I remember correctly, and somewhere in the trade, Oklahoma City acquired yet another draft pick. And at the time of this recording, over the next 7 years, the Thunder own 35 picks, 15 of which are first rounders. I don't care who you talk to. You could talk to a baby. You could talk to a 3-year-old, and you ask them, is this a lot? And they're going to say, yeah, because that is a preposterous amount of draft capital to have, especially when you consider the fact that the NBA is a 2-round draft. Over 7 years, they're averaging 5 picks per draft for 7 years. That is an insane thing to comprehend. I'm struggling to comprehend it as a basketball fan. It's like when you talk or when you listen to like astronomers and they're like, oh yeah, this star is 137 light years away. It's like, you don't know how to comprehend that. Or you talk about a cruise ship and they're like, this cruise ship weighs 79,000 tons. There's no way for your brain to comprehend that. It's quite literally by definition incomprehensible. The drafts, however, are where it gets tricky for Presti and the Thunder because he could sit on all of these draft picks and just on sheer luck alone land on a star or two or maybe even 3. The caveat with that is it takes time to draft and develop young talent. And while Oklahoma City is a young team, they have yet to unlock the infinite time glitch. That is a mod that does not yet exist. They only have a finite amount of time before inevitably this core falls apart and they no longer exist. The common sense take is Presti is playing the waiting game. He is sitting in his office with his circular brimmed brown glasses, probably stroking a cat or something, or maybe a corgi, because Sam Presti doesn't strike me as a supervillain type general manager. He strikes me as more of like a superhero who tries to do good things but ultimately winds up destroying the city. He's waiting for a star to become disgruntled. And when a star does become disgruntled, he's going to swoop in with whatever package is appropriate. Picks, players, whatever. I'm just going to be speculating here. Again, this is no inside knowledge or anything. Presti is waiting for a guy like Luka or Brandon Ingram or maybe like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown to go to their organization and be like, I want out. We'll use Luka Doncic for this example. He goes to Dallas, is like, I want to be traded. This isn't working. We have yet to field a contending team. Sam Presti is going to see that, and he's going to begin negotiations with the Thunder. And the Thunder are going to go to him and use the current rate for superstar players. We'll use like 5 or 6 picks. A couple swaps will be thrown in as well, and 2 to 3 young players. Oklahoma City can then send a package back to Dallas that includes literally however many fucking draft picks they want. I think that Sam Presti could email a spreadsheet of all their picks to Mark Cuban and have him circle what he wants and then email it back. We also then take 2 young players. I think that Gilgeous-Alexander and Holmgren are going to be untouchable. So you have 2 of the 3 that are Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, and Lou Dort, and potentially maybe another player if OKC gets lucky in the draft. But even with sending away all of those assets, even with sending away all of that capital, the Thunder retain their 2 best players, bring in Luka Doncic. This is, of course, speculatively. Bring in Luka Doncic, who's an MVP caliber player in his own right. And next thing you know, they are bumped to the top of the Western Conference and maybe to the top of the NBA because they have 2 superstars, another star, another potential star in Chet Holmgren, and then a decent amount of depth because, again, they will wind up retaining somebody like Jalen Williams or Josh Giddey. Should that ever come to fruition, at that point, the Thunder's biggest concern will be payroll and will be the luxury tax. And that's when ownership might step in and shrink the window a little bit. But I don't foresee that happening for another year, 2, maybe even 3. I think they would want to get around the next wave of extensions and see what the roster looks like. But regardless, even if they weren't to do that, the Thunder, if they're able to keep this core together, Gilgeous-Alexander, Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey, that is a mighty fearful core 2, 3, 4 years down the line. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this video out. Thank you guys so very much for coming to hang out with me today. Everything that I'm associated with is down in the description box below. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Comment as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. And with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one.